Welcome to Talk Across America. I'm Doug Miles, and we're here in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. And joining us now on our Book Talk segment, great to welcome both authors of a very helpful book, a lot of great information about it. It's called Anti-Cancer Living, Transform Your Life and Health with a Mix of Six. We're joined today by Lorenzo Cohen and Alison Jefferies, and they join us by telephone today, I believe from Houston, right? You're living down in the Houston area?
We are.
How are things down there? It's a nice part of the country. I've only been to the airport, but I'd like to visit it someday.
It's very green, and I think we're in the 80s today.
Well, that's good. I know my Yankees are down there, so I'm kind of following Houston that way this week. Well, first of all, thanks for joining us today and for writing this book. I know so many people are touched one way or the other by cancer in their lives, whether they have it themselves or a relative has it close to them. But this book kind of really gets into how not only can you prevent it, but if you unfortunately have the diagnosis with it, how you can kind of live with it and make your hopefully a cure come better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much that we know now on how to prevent cancer and improve outcomes alongside the conventional cancer treatments that it is time to enact the knowledge that we know and to empower patients to take control and get involved in their own health and wellness.
Is it better now? I guess I don't know if that's the right word, better, but I mean, is the treatment seems like it's better now. People seem to live longer with at least some types of cancers, and even some get cured of it. Is that true? And I guess others still, we don't have the answer to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been, in particular, in the field of immunotherapy, which is, unleashing the power of our immune system, tremendous advances in taking fatal diagnoses into, as you said, literally cure, we believe, situations. But that's not true for the majority, and in fact, the majority don't respond to these immunotherapies, even though having 25% respond compared to the prior treatments is, again, true advances beyond what has ever happened in the field of oncology. What we are proposing is that, alongside the conventional treatment, let's do everything we can to not only improve our body's response to those treatments, but, decrease any types of behaviors that we know will continue to contribute to a body that is hospitable to cancer growth. We want to make our body as inhospitable to cancer growth as possible prior to diagnosis and very importantly, even after a diagnosis.
And that comes down to what you call the mix of six different things that you can do to hopefully prevent, but if not prevent, at least help the curing process. And two of those things, you kind of put at the top of the list. Obviously, stress reduction, that seems to be the biggest one on the list, and having support, right? A lot of people don't have that family or friend support. That's very important, right?
Yes, it's, people have been surprised by putting love and support first. But what we know from just personal experience, not necessarily with a cancer diagnosis, but wanting to make change in our lives in these lifestyle areas, is that we often fail and then feel awful about failing. And it becomes this cycle that is not productive. And we want to leave guilt and shame and all of those emotions behind because it's about stepping forward in a positive fashion. And love and support is the key. It's the foundational change that is necessary to be successful in the other areas. And it's involved because it's not just having a loving family. It's harnessing your team to make change in your life. So if you are interested in looking at the mix of six and deciding, right now I want to step forward and diet, you want to find a friend who's also interested in doing that. You want to find a coworker who would be interested in coming up with a vegetarian or vegan recipe that you'll both try per week. You want to go and find an app that will support you in that, so that when you do step forward, you're primed for success.
I should say the other 4 in that mix of 6, sleep, of course, exercise. You mentioned diet, and then minimizing exposure, obviously, to any kind of environmental toxins. And I guess that would also include, don't smoke and don't drink too much, and drugs and all that, right? That's part of that. But those are the 6 overall.
They are. And, it's a big... It feels like a big area, but it's really about the synergy of the group and that everything is interrelated. So that if I don't get a good night's sleep, I then wake up in the morning and I don't feel like going on for that walk, or I'm going to make some bad food choices. So it's really the synergy that is so important. And another thing to think about is that if I'm carrying extra weight, or if I'm exhausted, or if I'm really stressed, that's a mirror of what's happening inside your body and what's happening right down in your cells.
I thought, reading through the book, very interesting. You think sleep, people take that for granted, that you're just getting, rest that you need, but there was really more to it than that. I guess you even talk about new studies that how important sleep is, or enough sleep is, right? Not only to stay well, but it can also almost be a carcinogen, not enough sleep, right?
That's right, and where the field of sleep medicine continues to evolve, but we do know that individuals who are sleep deprived and don't sleep enough actually have a higher propensity to be overweight. It changes the way we metabolize food. So even if you are eating the same breakfast, let's say, every day, on the day that you're sleep deprived, that food is going to turn to fat easier and stored in the body. We also know that sleep influences the way our brain functions, and not only aspects of cognitive functioning, but we now know that sleep is the time when built up waste material that's in our brain during the day is actually cleared out at night. So if we don't give our body the appropriate amount of time to be in this restorative state, then the long-term consequences we're learning are quite damaging.
Yeah. I know a lot of people will also say, well, I can take perfect care of myself and do all that, but there's a genetic factor. A lot of people think, well, if my parents had cancer, or one parent did, I'm likely to get it. Is that still true, or is that true at all?
Well, it's true, but for the really minority of cancers, and when I say minority, we're talking about maybe 5 to 10% of cancers are due to an inherited gene mutation, such as the BRCA1 gene mutation, which increases your risk of breast and ovarian cancer. But we also see, and although the data is a bit more limited in this area, that even in the individuals who have the gene mutation, it does not mean that your fate is written in stone. And these lifestyle factors innervate and help to modify gene expression, so the gene behavior that is necessary to make an individual more vulnerable or less vulnerable to developing cancer. What, however, does run in family besides genes is either unhealthy or healthy behaviors. So, the parents who eat a lot of fast and processed food, you can almost guarantee their children are going to eat a lot of fast and processed food. The sedentary family tends to have kids who likewise are very sedentary. So, behaviors certainly run in families, and today's the perfect day to start to make those changes.
What I took out of the book, and I hope the readers do as well, obviously you never want to hear that term, you have cancer or somebody in the family does, but you can be more optimistic, I think, nowadays than maybe even 10 years before, right? So there's more hope now than before, right?
Well, yeah, and what the evidence really shows is we are more in control of our health and our risk of developing cancer and our outcomes once we have a diagnosis of cancer than ever before. So it's an extremely, extremely hopeful message. And now, again, more than ever, by by harnessing the perfect mix of 6 and following some of the recommendations that we lay out in the book, we also know that there's going to be an improvement in an individual's quality of life, the relationships that individuals have, the ability to engage in a more meaningful life of purpose is going to go up when you engage in these 6 areas.
And many of the patients that we've talked to reflect on that, how their whole family gets involved, and that contagion, that positive contagion effect happens, and the kids are inspiring the parents are inspiring the kids. So it's very powerful.
Anti-Cancer Living is the name of the book. We've been talking with Lorenzo Cohen and Alison Jefferies, and appreciate you joining us. Do you have a website real quick you want to give out?
anticancer-living.com. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today on Talk Across America. Please visit our website at dougmilesmedia.com for more great interviews and content. And if you're interested in any of the books we talk about on the program, please click the Amazon link on our website. It helps support the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again real soon here from beautiful Sarasota, Florida.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America, isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.